This is the Transpiration Lab. This is the lab that we're trying to measure water loss through the leaves. This is a 5-day lab normally. The first day you will get your initial mass and everything, but you will also do your setup. You would have to allow the students more time, of course, to be able to get the setup done. A good idea is if you do have paper like this, the big butcher paper, to be able to put this on the table. If not, what I would recommend then is just make sure you have lots of little brooms so that they can then clean it up. There's normally a mess in here by the end of the day though. What Yashi is doing right now is he's taking regular plastic bag. I always use the fold over bags, and the reason I use the fold over bag is because then you don't have the Ziploc portion to interfere. What he has done next is that he has wrapped it and then he has taped it. Once I do not use twine anymore. 1 year, in my infinite wisdom of thinking twine would be better, students unfortunately broke the stems. Tape, it's a little bit harder for them to break the plant. And what Yashi is working on right now was he was removing the flowers. The reason why I remove the flowers is because the fact that the flowers are not going to be doing transpiration. And if, as the week progresses, they die and fall off, you need to make sure any plant-based material that falls off during the week is kept, because if you don't, it's going to be viewed as water loss. So like this one right here, he has already put together and he has it all set up, and it says M, and I assume that is for our misting. You will notice the one other thing is that there are some flowers on top that are not ready to bloom yet. They might, as the week progresses, they definitely could bloom. If they bloom, it's fine. It's not going to affect anything, only if they fall off. That's the time. If any of the material, any of the plant material, let's say 3 days into it, something falls off, you're going to need to make sure that the students then capture it and try to stick it down into the side right in here so that is not being counted as water loss. So Yash is now measuring and he is finding the mass for each one of the conditions. On the lab itself, you'll notice that there are 5 conditions. We're going to have a fan condition, a light condition. So this is my bright light condition. This will be my little fan condition. So this is going to be constantly having a breeze on it. We're going to do a dark. Yash is going to put it over in one of the cabinets over there. Then we're going to have the control, and we're going to have the mist. Now the one thing that is the unusual is the mist. When you do the mist, you will have, like right now what he's doing, he is getting its mass. After he gets the mass, he is then going to have to take another plastic bag. He is then going to have to open that plastic bag up, and he's going to have to spray 1 or 2 squirts inside the bag. That's good, yeah. With water, and then he is going to have to put that over the plant, and then it will sit like that. So this is trying to create humidity and to hopefully see that within this condition that it's not going to have as much water loss because of the humid condition. We unfortunately live in Texas, so humidity is not our friend because not only is it hot as it is also extremely humid. So the humid condition will sit, or the mist condition will sit right here. The control condition will also just sit here on the table. When I do this with the students, I have the 5 different areas set up. You'll also notice, since it's just he and I, we're not putting our group name or anything like that. But I also make my students put their group name. And I also, a few years ago, only because I always learn by error, and that is that it was a small group, it was a real small class, and there were only 2 in a group, and one of them was not there who had been taking the masses. Why they weren't both taking the masses down, I don't know. But since then, I have always made the kids put the actual mass on the tape itself. That way, as they go through the week, there is no question with it. I also have enough balances so that I do not have to have them sharing balances, or they stay at one table and maybe one table has to share it. But I always try to make sure that the balances don't switch tables. This is a balance I actually got at Target here recently. It's really nice. It goes 2 past the decimal, but it was 20 bucks. Whereas this one right over here, I got this great one from Amazon and it was only $10 or $12. But it also goes 2 past the decimal. Our chemistry department's not real nice and they don't share real well. So I have bought my own balances, and normally I use them in the summer anyway, so it's not a big deal. But I go through and I have the balances for myself, so that way it's not a problem.